video from OMG Revision. This is going to be the complete example and case study guide to paper 2. Now, you can print screen this or look in the comments, the description, there'll be a link to this, or you can just grab one off your geography teacher. Ultimately, try and fill in as much of this as you can on your own. Afterwards, go through it with green pen, watch the rest of the video and fill in the knowledge that you didn't have. So, first of all, major city in an LIC, NEE. So we use the case study of Rio de Janeiro, which is on the east coast of Brazil facing the Atlantic Ocean. Now there are many challenges in Rio, and these can be categorised into social, economic and environmental. Due to there being a lot of rural to urban migration, people are moving to the city in high numbers from the Brazilian countryside, but when they get there, there's not the infrastructure and services to support them, as you can see in this photograph of a favela with lots of rubbish. Now facts. Social, 12% of people don't have access to clean running water. Economic, 20% of people work in the informal sector. This is cash in hand work where tax doesn't go to the government, and you also don't get the benefits of things like holiday pay, and it's often low paid. And finally, we've got air pollution due to traffic congestion, smog, smoke mixed with fog, and this kills around 5,000 people per year, so you can link this to your social challenge. In terms of opportunities, however, there are many opportunities in Rio. This photograph shows an industrial development, and you can see it's creating employment in the secondary sector. So social opportunities, they have built 12 new water treatment plants providing clean fresh water, reducing incidence of disease like cholera. Economic, massive impact of Rio's economy as it produces 5% of the whole GDP for the whole country. And finally, environmental opportunity, they have built a couple of cable cars, and this has reduced traffic congestion, reducing air pollution. Right, planning for the urban poor. So Favela Bairro project just means neighbourhood favela project, and they're trying to help the urban poor. This is what it will look like in the exam. Now, the scheme involved $1 billion, and they paved and formally named roads, so people had an identity, they had an address. They also built water supplies, and they built a cable car as well to help with the movement around the favela. However, when we were evaluating, the money quickly ran out, and the cable car was too expensive to maintain. After the Olympics and the World Cup, they turned it off. Right, major city in the UK. We're looking at Birmingham in the West Midlands, and in this one we're going to be looking at the challenges. So social, it's got some of the highest asthma rates in Europe due to air pollution, and this can be linked to the chronic traffic congestion on the 4 surrounding motorways such as the M6. Economic, deindustrialisation, the closure of traditional heavy secondary manufacturing industry led to a high number of people being unemployed. And environmental, I've already mentioned the 4 motorways such as the M5 and the M6. They surround Birmingham like a square, causing high levels of air pollution. However, there are also lots of opportunities in the UK. We've got the beautiful library and the metro integrated transport system here. So, Birmingham social, £120 million was invested in this new library. Economic, HSBC opened up a head office opposite the library, and it created 2,000 new jobs. And environmental, as I mentioned, integrated transport system, it's low cost travel, and it links closely with other transports such as the Grand Central train station at New Street. Inequality in Birmingham. So in Birmingham there are big differences in terms of economic and social wealth and capital within the city. Now, Ladywood is characterised by higher unemployment, a lower life expectancy, the housing is generally lower quality, and this has led to lower GCSE outcomes for the young people there. This all contributes to the social and economic challenges that people face. However, in contrast, the royal town of Sutton Coldfield, you're going to have more people employed. These people generally live longer, they have a lot higher life expectancy. The quality of the housing stock is better, you're going to have more big detached houses with gardens, and generally you're going to have higher GCSE outcomes. Number 7, urban regeneration project in the UK. We're looking at Birmingham. You can use different ones such as Brindley Place. Grand Central, the Bullring, but I'm going to, for this one, use Paradise in Birmingham. So there was an £800 million big city plan, and as a part of it, the area Paradise was regenerated. And this created jobs, the aforementioned HSBC, it created educational opportunities, e.g. the new library, and creating educational opportunities, which I've written twice, and also there was urban green on the library roof. Also, the new library conserves energy and it conserves water using modern technology, so that's something you could potentially comment on in the exam. Example of a sustainable city, you can use examples from Birmingham, however we have got another example for you to use, which is Freiburg in Germany. Now, it was one of the first cities in the world to name itself as a sustainable city, and this has led to a lot of achievements. For example, they have got social sustainability because they allow local people to invest in the renewable energy there. So the people have got a stake, the stakeholders have got a stake in the sustainability. And there's £5 million invested in wind turbines. Economic sustainability. So Freiburg has got a solar valley. This is basically where lots and lots of solar panels are manufactured, and it employs 10,000 people. And solar panels are renewable, contributing to the sustainability of energy production and conservation. And finally, environmental sustainability. So they've planted 44,000 new trees, and this has created a massive carbon sink, and also due to the vegetation interception created by the vegetation, it actually also reduces flood risk because it increases lag time. They've even grassed the bottom of the tram. Wicked. Okay. LIC, so we're not looking at a city now, we're looking at an actual country, and the country we use is Nigeria. Now, regional importance, it's got the largest population in Africa, over 200 million, and it's also a member of ECOWAS, which is a trading group in the west of Africa. In terms of global significance, they are the 5th largest contributor to the United Nations, and if you link in this to your Shell case study, they also provide 3% of the world's oil, a massive primary export from Nigeria. 10, industrial development. So we have got the Volkswagen factory in Lagos. So they opened up this factory in Lagos. It's secondary, well-paid, reliable income. People move from their primary jobs, they earn more money, GNI per head, they have more disposable income, contributing to the multiplier effect in the local economy. Number 11, different to industrial development, this is a TNC. Now the TNC we use is Shell. It's created 65,000 jobs directly and 250,000 jobs in the supply chain, again creating an economic multiplier effect. However, there's been massive environmental and social impacts. For example, the oil spills in Boldo village killed fish stocks in the River Niger, and this meant that primary workers have got no fish to fish, they've got no source of income, and in extreme cases, people who drank this water have actually succumbed to death and died. Pretty challenging. Example of fair trade. So if you're asked about fair trade, you can comment on the 65,000 fair trade cocoa farmers in Ghana. They use some of the profits to invest in local services, and the extra money they get for working as a fair trade farmer is called the fair trade premium. And the extra profits you can see here, they're invested in a water pump, increase access to clean water. This means that life expectancy increases. An example of aid that we can use is Tear Fund in Uganda. Tear Fund is an NGO, which is a non-government organisation, and they've provided 100,000 people in Uganda with this intermediate technology, providing them with clean water, storage and capture solutions, ultimately increasing life expectancy. And because more kids can go to school rather than doing water chores, literacy rate too. 14, microfinance. So micro means small, finance means money. The example we can use for this is the Grameen Bank in Bangladesh. And ultimately, they offer small loans and education to women to help them develop their business acumen and invest in their businesses. And in total, they have supplied 9.5 million women with these small loans. Debt relief. So for our debt relief example, we can use Guyana and the free drugs that they have provided. Now, in the year 2000, Guyana qualified for a highly indebted poor country debt relief scheme. The extra money that they got from this debt relief, what they wasn't paying debt interest on, they used to invest in healthcare, providing free medicine for all people, and the signs you've seen with free drugs is all about this free medicine, ultimately increasing life expectancy. Example of tourism to reduce the development gap. So we use the Caribbean island of Jamaica, and Jamaica earns $2 billion per year from tourism. However, although this increases GNI per head, a lot of the hotels are owned by foreign TNCs and the money leaks out of the country, so it isn't really benefiting development in Jamaica, reducing that development gap. And this process of money leaking out is called leakage. UK rural landscape population growth. So we use South Cambridgeshire as our example of population growth in a rural area. As you can see, a new housing development has been built on this greenfield site and urban sprawl is taking place. And the population is expected to grow from 150 to 182,000 by 2031. Now, this is causing traffic congestion due to the country roads being narrow, which is a social issue because people are breathing in dirty air or they're having to spend longer in traffic. And also, due to the increase in population, property prices are rising and there's a lack of affordable housing for people. Imagine you live there with your mum and dad, you want to buy a house down the road so you can have your family and be close to your parents, you can't afford it. UK rural landscape population decline. Our example is the Outer Hebrides off the northwest coast of Scotland. Now their population is actually reducing and it has gone from 46,000 to 27,000 in the last 100 years. Now the people who move tend to be younger people because they're moving to the mainland, maybe going to university to find more opportunities, and this has left an ageing population. Old people are more likely to get ill and this puts a strain on the healthcare service. And also another economic challenge is because a lot of these people have moved away, the number of registered fishing boats has reduced. So there used to be 900 people working in the primary industry of fishing and that has gone down to 10, and this reduces employment opportunities. Number 19, one of my favourites, is an environmentally sustainable modern industrial development. Now we use the example of Jaguar Land Rover, and here is a Jaguar Land Rover factory in Wolverhampton. Now it has got the largest solar panel roof in Europe, conserving energy, creating clean energy and contributing or not contributing negatively to our energy mix by using fuel energy created by burning gas which releases CO2. It's also got a sawtooth profile roof, as you can see here, and that aids with air circulation, keeping it warm in the winter and cooler in the summer. And finally, we've got huge windows around the side that you can't see too well on this picture, but that allows them to use artificial light rather than using that allows them to reduce the need for artificial light. They can use natural light on the factory floor. Also, not on here, but you can see there is space for expansion in the surrounding greenfield sites, great access to the M54 motorway, and it's just a general all-round pleasant working environment. Number 20, Science Park. So we can use the Birmingham Research Science Park. Here is a picture of another modern industrial development. Now it's got high-spec purpose-built laboratories and offices, and they're intended to be a biomedical incubator, and this is to help grow biomedical companies in the UK. This is quaternary sector industry, okay, which the UK is aiming to grow its footprint in. In addition, this helps to reduce the north-south divide, because Birmingham typically is in a deprived area of the north of the UK, even though it's in the West Midlands. It's also owned and run by the University of Birmingham. Business Park. So Birmingham Out of Town Business Park, you can see here's another lovely sawtooth roof. There are 160 companies there and over 7,000 employees. It's built on land out of town because out of town land is cheaper, but also it's quite close to a major motorway junction, so for importing and exporting of goods maybe, components, And for employees to get there, it is really easy. So this is another example of a way we can reduce regional inequalities and create regional economic growth. Talking of reducing regional differences, we can also use local enterprise partnerships such as the Black Country LEP and the Black Country Growth Hub. Now, the aim of the Black Country LEP is to create 2,700 jobs by working with businesses to create apprenticeship opportunities. They also work with local academies such as Brisnell Hall Academy, and they have developed 40 hectares, or they're developing, of brownfield land. One example is the East End Foods factory that is located just by junction 1 of the M5 in West Brom, helping to contribute to regional economic growth. How can we reduce regional differences with transport improvements? Now, there's 4 things you need to be aware of. You've got road, so we've got the M6 smart motorway. The cost between 6 and 10 is £126 million on the M6. However, this should reduce traffic congestion and mean that businesses can operate quickly and efficiently, not stuck in traffic jams all the time. More money, more GNI, multiplier effect. We've also got HS2, which was originally planned to go from London to Birmingham up to Manchester and Leeds. However, even though it's cost over £100 billion, they've now cancelled the northern legs and it's now only going to go to Birmingham. A great one to evaluate when you're talking about as it reduced regional inequalities. The next example is port. We've got the Liverpool 2 container port. It cost £400 million and it created 5,000 jobs, hoping that, especially after we have left the political union of the EU, we can trade freely and quickly with countries around the world. And finally, we've got Heathrow expansion. It could create 100,000 jobs, but it won't be completed until the mid-2030s, and we only can guess who is going to be in government at that time to actually take credit for it. Meeting food demand in the UK. So, to meet increasing food demand in the UK, there's 2 main things we can look at. Agribusiness, which is intensive farming using large machinery, think combine harvesters, weed sprayers, and the example we can use for this is Latham's Farm in the east of England. In terms of organic farming, this is farming without chemicals and machinery, and the example we can use for this is Essington Farm in Wolverhampton. And if you want to go strawberry picking in the summer, it's great fun. 25, meeting water demand in the UK. So, in the UK, we have got Wales with a water surplus. This is because it rains a lot in Wales, as we can see here, very heavy rainfall, but the population density is generally very low. However, the water deficit is in Birmingham, and as you can see, the rainfall is moderate, but the population density is very high. This leads to a deficit or a shortage of water. How can we solve this problem? Well, we can use a water transfer scheme, moving water from the Elan Valley in Wales to the highly densely populated areas of Birmingham. Meeting energy demand in the UK. So, renewable energy is an alternative to burning fossil fuels. And one example we can look at is Hornsea 2, and it's the UK's biggest wind farm off the east coast of England. And in 2024, it's actually contributed 30% to the UK's energy mix. Another option we have got is fracking. The UK has up to 60 trillion cubic metres of shale gas. However, people object because it can cause earthquakes, and I don't know about you, I don't like the earth under my home shaking. Finally, we can look at nuclear power. Now, there's currently 9 nuclear reactors in the UK spread over various sites and several more in development. Nuclear is seen as a great way to reduce our carbon footprint whilst also providing energy security. Factors that affect food security. So there's several factors, food supplies. There's several factors that can affect the supply of food. First of all, poverty. You could talk about poor people in rural Kenya and they can't afford any form of technology or fertilizers, so the yields on their crop is going to be low. Conflict, you could use the example of Syria, and due to opposing forces fighting each other, a lot of time crops are destroyed and this leads to food insecurity. We've also got climate change. Again, you can use Kenya in the east of Africa, just below the Horn of Africa. And due to it becoming warmer, pests such as locusts are thriving, and locusts can devour a field of crops in about 5 minutes. Impacts of food insecurity. So, if you don't have a reliable supply of food, it can lead to famine, which is a widespread shortage of food. For example, in Sudan in 2024. Undernutrition. In Kenya, a lot of people in the rural areas don't have a balanced diet, and this means their diet is lacking vital minerals and vitamins, which can lead to ill health, lower life expectancy. Soil erosion. Due to excessive deforestation, fertile topsoil is being washed away. An example you can use for that is Ethiopia. Rising prices. In the east of Africa, food prices have increased by 25% or a quarter since 2020, meaning people can't afford as much food, or it becomes a bigger part of their overall budget. And higher prices often lead to social unrest or food riots, such as in Algeria, when rioting kicked off and the government needed to intervene due to increased food prices. Increasing food supply. So there's several strategies for this. The first one is irrigation, which is artificial watering of the land, and for this we can use the example in India and Pakistan, the Indus Basin Irrigation System, or IBIS. Another more high-tech example is using hydroponics and aeroponics, which is farming without soil, and an example we can use for that is the USA. The new green revolution is basically farming sustainably on a large scale, and in India a new green revolution started in 2006. And the final one is appropriate technology, and this is using simple technology with the skills of local people. For example, the sand dams in Kenya that provide water to irrigate crops. Large-scale agricultural development. So, our example for this, as I've just mentioned, is the Indus Basin Irrigation System. It's found in India and Pakistan, and it's the largest irrigation system in the world with 64,000 kilometres of canals. Now, the advantage of this is that fruit yields in this region have gone up by 150%, reducing undernutrition, making people healthier and increasing life expectancy. However, some farmers upstream take an unfair share of the water, meaning farmers downstream don't have enough water for their crop. Large-scale food supply. So there's several strategies we can use for this. The first one is permaculture or permanent agriculture. This is run by the Permaculture Association in the UK, and if you just think this is like organic farming, working with the natural environment to produce long-term sustainable food supplies. Urban farming, growing food in a city. You can see rooftops can be used or allotments in your local area, and an example we can use for this is Michigan in the USA. Sustainable fish. So sustainable means providing for people now without damaging the environment for future generations. Fishing is managed by the Marine Stewardship Council or the MSC, and this makes sure that fish are not overfished, so fishermen don't take out too many so the fish can reproduce for future generations to fish. Sustainable meat. We've got some free-range chickens here having a nice little cluck around, and free-range farms such as the bio-organic farms in Wales are a sustainable way to produce food, and it ensures the chickens and other animals are kept happy. Seasonal food consumption. So this is eating food when it's in season, and the example we would probably use is eat strawberries in the summer and apples in the autumn. And finally, reducing food waste. So this terrible statistic is that 32% of all food is wasted, but if we process food and have a more sensible approach to things like sell-by dates and use-by dates, we're hoping we can reduce this to 22%. Small-scale scheme to increase food production. We use the Makueni Food Security Programme. So what they have done in Makueni County in Kenya is the African Sandown Foundation have worked with local people and used intermediate technology to increase water supply by building sand dams. This means that there is more water to irrigate crops as the water is needed, and crop yields have increased, food security has increased. Also, local schools in Macaroni now have clean water, and this means that rather than the kids having to do water chores and fetch the water, it is available to them there.